let's give a warm Zoom mediated welcome to first Marea. Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Brandon. I will now switch to German for my presentation, weil wir uns geeinigt haben, einen zweisprachigen Abend zu machen heute. Ich werde meine kurze Einführung in School of Commons in Deutsch machen und in Q&A dann in Deutsch und Englisch Fragen beantworten. Was ist School of Commons? Wer sind wir und was tun wir? School of Commons wurde 2017, also eigentlich 2016 schon gegründet. 2017 haben wir gestartet mit dem ersten Programm. Ist ursprünglich eine studentische Initiative, die sich jetzt aber weiterentwickelt hat. Und die Initiative will und ist dabei, selbstorganisierte Lernsettings, Commoning und Peer-Learning zu untersuchen und auch praktisch vor allem zu erproben. Wir sind, wie Brandon schon gesagt hat, an der Zürcher Hochschule der Künste in Zürich in der Schweiz und aber vor allem in der digitalen Welt angesiedelt. Dazu sage ich später noch ein bisschen mehr. Die Idee von School of Commons ist es, einen Rahmen oder eine Umgebung zu bauen und zu bieten für eine internationale Gemeinschaft von Künstlerinnen, Designerinnen, Musikerinnen, Wissenschaftlerinnen und interessierten Menschen aus anderen Disziplinen, um ihre Projekte zu realisieren einerseits und auch um andererseits gemeinsam neue Bildungsmodelle zu erproben und zu untersuchen. Wir sind sehr fest der Überzeugung, auch aus Erfahrung, dass Commoning Practices und Peer Learning essentiell sind für neue, inklusive und transdisziplinäre Bildungsprojekte. Wir legen einen großen Fokus auf maximale Diversität. Wir sind auch nicht 100% immer, können wir das einlösen, aber wir möchten gerne sehr zugänglich sein für Menschen aus allen Disziplinen, versuchen auch Menschen mit verschiedenen sozioökonomischen Hintergründen Zugang zum Projekt zu verschaffen und auch verschiedene Bildungshintergründe sind bei uns vertreten. Das ist mit ein Grund, wieso dass wir in digitalen und hybriden Settings arbeiten. Sonst wären jetzt Sol aus Korea und Gordon in den Niederlanden im Moment nicht hier, weil uns das ermöglicht, wirklich mit Leuten auf der ganzen Welt zusammenzuarbeiten. Seit 2017 haben School of Commons Teilnehmerinnen aus über 20 verschiedenen Disziplinen, mehr als 30 verschiedenen Ländern transdisziplinäre Projekte durchgeführt, Ausstellungen organisiert, Symposien organisiert, Texte publiziert und ihre Wissen in Workshops mit einer sehr breiten Community geteilt. Ich gehe jetzt, Brandon hat ein bisschen schon verraten, ich gehe jetzt kurz auf die Art und Weise, wie wir das tun, ein. Unser Jahresprogramm ist wirklich zu einem großen Teil, zum größten Teil den Interessen der Teilnehmenden und den Projekten der Teilnehmenden entlang formiert. Das heißt, sie planen eigentlich unser Jahr mit und bestimmen das mit. Anstatt dass wir ein festes Curriculum haben, ermutigen wir unsere Teilnehmenden wirklich Inhalte aktiv mitzugestalten, auch zu sagen, was sie brauchen für ihre Projekte. Das kann Expertise von auswärts sein, das können bestimmte Methoden sein, das können digitale, aber auch reale Settings sein. Und das Ziel ist wirklich, dass alle Teilnehmenden mit unserer Unterstützung und vor allem der Unterstützung von ihren Peers im ganzen Projekt ihre Projekte ermöglichen können. Die Teilnehmenden bewerben sich mit einem Projektvorhaben, sehr konkret eigentlich. Das ändert sich natürlich immer dann im Laufe der Zeit und werden ausgewählt von einer internationalen Jury. Wir versuchen bei der Auswahl eine möglichst diverse Gruppe zusammenzustellen, um auch wirklich zu gewährleisten, dass von allen möglichen Wissensfeldern Leute vertreten sind, die dann einander unterstützen können. Das Programm dauert 10 Monate und ist so ein bisschen in 3 Teile geteilt. Das heißt, der erste Teil dient vor allem der raschen Vernetzung zwischen den Teilnehmenden, Übersicht über vorhandene Themen, was interessiert mich, wo will ich mich andocken, an welche Gruppe. Und natürlich auch ganz, ganz wichtig, darüber werden Fire Scary auch noch sprechen, das Aufbauen von Trust, also von Vertrauen, weil die meisten von uns sich nie physisch sehen werden. Ist es sehr, sehr wichtig, dass wir in der digitalen Welt uns wirklich auch nahe kommen und irgendwie connecten können. Die zweite Phase ist dann vor allem Arbeit an Projekten mit der Unterstützung von Peers und der School of Commons Leitung, aber auch natürlich externe KollaborateurInnen, die Projekte selber einladen können und anfragen können. Der dritte Teil, da geht es dann um die Verarbeitung des Prozesses und um die Vermittlung des Wissens, das produziert wurde oder das erarbeitet wurde in School of Commons an eine internationale Gemeinschaft. Das passiert über diverse Veranstaltungsformate, Publikationen etc. Gehalten wird das Ganze so von Gruppenveranstaltungen intern, aber auch extern, die wir vom Rahmenprogramm organisieren, um das irgendwie zu facilitaten. Genau, die Ergebnisse, wir arbeiten sehr ergebnisoffen, das heißt, bei uns hat man nicht einen Output-Druck, wie wir es vielleicht aus anderen akademischen Settings kennen. Die Ergebnisse werden in Open-Access-Publikationen publiziert. Davon haben wir im ersten Vortrag in dieser Reihe von Shusha Niederberger auch schon gehört. Künstlerische Plattformen, Vorträge, Performances, Konzerte, Ausstellungen werden organisiert, um wirklich auch Leute teilhaben zu lassen. Ich gehe jetzt kurz ein bisschen auf die Struktur ein. Die einen von euch haben das vielleicht schon gesehen. Wir arbeiten in 3 Labs, sogenannten, oder 3 Gefäßen. Das sind die Maps, die Reads und die Learns. Wieso diese Aufteilung in Labs? Das ist relativ einfach. Wir haben sehr schnell gemerkt, dass verschiedene Herangehensweisen, weil wir so heterogene Gruppen haben, und verschiedene Methoden, die Leute wählen möchten, auch wie so verschiedene Rahmenbedingungen ein bisschen brauchen und dass wir dem versuchen, wirklich auch gerecht zu werden. Ich fange an bei den Learns. Das Learns ist eigentlich so, dass ihr seht die Akronyme da auf dem Bildschirm. Learns ist das älteste Format, das gab es als erstes. Das beherbergt kollaborative, selbstorganisierte, künstlerisch forschende Projekte, die sich als Kollektiv bewerben. Also das sind immer mehrere Menschen. Sie arbeiten sehr prozessorientiert und wirklich nicht unbedingt auf ein festgelegtes Ziel hin. Die Maps, das Maps-Programm beherbergt praxisorientierte Forschungsprojekte im Bereich experimentelle Pädagogik. MAP-Projekte zielen ein bisschen darauf ab, praktikable Tools, Methoden und Anregungen für verschiedene Formen des zukünftigen Lernens, aber auch Zusammenlebens und Zusammenarbeitens herzustellen. Das READ-Labor beherbergt Forschungsprojekte, die Theorie im breiten Feld der Wissensproduktion entwickeln. Das heißt, READ bietet Raum für die Erforschung, aber auch für die Reflexion des theoretischen Rahmens von Bildung, zu Themen wie Commoning, Peer-Learning und anderen Themen, die Teilnehmende einbringen in School of Commons. Was wir auch noch tun nebenbei oder am Aufbauen sind, ist eine Art Begleitforschung. Wir arbeiten da mit einem Soziologen der Universität Zürich zusammen. Und zwar möchten wir gerne die verschiedenen Projektsettings, Methodologien und auch Vermittlungsumgebungen, die erarbeitet werden in unseren verschiedenen Projekten, genauer untersuchen, um daraus auch Best Practices zu sammeln und zu evaluieren, um das auch zugänglich zu machen für Institutionen oder Individuen oder Kollektive, die gerne Teile wie nachbauen würden, quasi. Wir bauen natürlich seit 2017 auch stetig wirklich sehr, sehr fest in Zusammenarbeit mit all unseren Mitgliedern bei School of Commons an einem internationalen Netzwerk. Das heißt, dadurch, dass wir so breit gefächert sind, lernen wir so viele spannende Projekte und Institutionen und Individuen kennen. Und in diesem Netzwerk haben wir regen Austausch zur Zukunft der Bildung, zum Thema Peer Learning. Ich würde jetzt ganz kurz ein paar Projekte nennen, die uns auf jeden Fall im nächsten Jahr beschäftigen werden. Das erste, da befinden wir uns gerade, Campus Gegenwart. Wir würden uns sehr freuen, auch im nächsten Jahr im Austausch zu sein mit euch und uns über unsere gemeinsamen Interessen auszutauschen. Wir werden mit der SoC Biennial in Chile 2 Jahre jetzt zusammenarbeiten, mit der Biennale in Istanbul, wahrscheinlich mit Onassis Air, ein sehr interessantes Programm in Athen. Und last but not least ist School of Commons seit einem Jahr Partner in einem Erasmus-Plus-Projekt, Knowledge Alliance, mit 12 anderen Institutionen. Und da geht es darum, gemeinsam Zukunftsszenarien zu entwickeln für die Zukunft von Institutions of Higher Art Education. Das heißt, wir entwickeln Modelle für künftige Lehre, Forschung, aber auch überlegen uns, wie sieht eigentlich ein Campus in Zukunft aus und wie müssen neue Lehrmodelle, Bildungsmodelle eigentlich aussehen. Wer sich dafür interessiert, da gibt es eine Summer School dieses Jahr, die wird auch auf unserer Website zu finden sein bald. Sehr interessant und eine diverse Gruppe, um sich auszutauschen. Ja, jetzt habe ich eigentlich schon zu lange geredet. I'm gonna switch to English now again, and I'm very, very, very happy to introduce Fire is Scary, a transdisciplinary collective that joined School of Commons last year. And I'm very glad that you're still here. And yeah, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you, School of Commons. Thank you, Campus Gegenwart. Thank you all for having us. Yeah, we are Fire is Scary, and today we want to talk a little bit about how we collectively care for our work. So to start off, we had a little video presentation, but I think for the interest of time and keeping things moving, we will provide you the link on the chat, I think. But today we're going to talk a little bit about, what is our project and how we move through it as an interdisciplinary collective and how we make these translation things happen, and also how to collectively care for this project that we're doing and everything that we're doing forward from our different mediums and perspectives that we have. Yeah, I think we can, in the presentation, we'll talk a little bit about the research and the translation theory, the workshops that have been taking place through making Fire is Scary happen. Of course, the recorded music, which is how the album or how the ensemble or collective has existed so far as a recorded piece of music, but also as the installation and exhibition that we recently had in Amsterdam in December, and the future performance that we still have to establish that we would like to do, and that also will require some more extra collaborative work. I think you can go into the next slide, Gordon.
Great, thanks, Augustine, for introducing our project a little bit. Well, the subtitle for this talk tonight is An Infinite Incomplete Series. And so I just wanted to give a little context on where that came from. It comes from this larger quote here. One has to think of meaning as constituted by an infinite and incomplete series of translation. It's by Stuart Hall from a conversation with Sarat Maharaj, about the connection between translation and identity. And we chose this quote because we really feel the commons and collective work is this infinite and incomplete series. It's always ongoing. It's always in process, always something that you're working on. And it's mediated through these translations, through these interactions, negotiations. How do you get on the same page with your collective, with your commons? How do you work together? How do you find ways of caring for each other and caring for a shared resource or work? So just a little context there. We also wanted to touch just really quickly on, Fire is Scary. We're a project from School of Commons, but what other connections do we have to the Commons? So, well, like I mentioned, our first connection, the reason that we're here tonight is our connection to School of Commons. As you heard from Maria, School of Commons is an amazing year-long research fellowship, and School of Commons has been hugely helpful for Fire is Scary. They were the first organization to support us. They gave us a lot of opportunities to present our work in different workshop formats, in progress presentations. They helped provide funds to bring in guest speakers for our project. And so, yeah, School of Commons, it's really this commons of knowledge. It's a space where we can study together, not only within our collective Fire is Scary, but also with about 15 other projects, and we can interact with the other groups. We can say not only what the relationships are between our researches, but also just what are we going through collectively in study, and how can we share tips, share knowledge. So School of Commons is a great resource, and if you haven't already, I really recommend checking out their website and their program. Just a couple of other connections we had here is first with Costco Art Institute. This is a really great art institute working with the Commons. It's based in Utrecht in the Netherlands. Again, if you're not familiar, I really recommend checking them out. They do, of course, a lot of artistic work with the theme of Commons, but they also enacted a lot just through who they are as people. And that's really our connection with them. They helped with some different applications with visa and different grant opportunities that we were searching for. So that was an important connection. Like Augustine said, our project, it's really music-based. A lot of what we were doing this year was recording a song cycle and releasing it as a visual album. And we decided to put that out under a Creative Commons license. And so what that means is that we decided to give up some of our rights to control how the album is used and distributed, because we think it's in the interest of the Commons, of people being able to access and share that. And it's a really complicated question, and for sure, if anyone's interested in going into that, we can talk a bit more about it later, but just thought I would mention it. And last off is collective practices. So together we have a shared resource. We have this project that we get back from artistically, financially in small ways, also in terms of building relationships. And we also have the shared work that we have to kind of figure out how to maintain and divide. And so I think our collective in a small way kind of mirrors what you might see with the larger Commons, of this question of how do you share a resource and how do you share the work that builds and maintains that resource. And now we'll move on to our main question. This is a beautiful question that Gabrielle posed for us, which was, how do you collectively care for your work? And I think that's such an important work in collective processes, whether they're artistic or otherwise, and also in terms of the Commons of how do you collectively care for work. And we'll each talk about our own answers to this question. I'm going to start off by talking about taking time to feel proud. And this is something I really feel that I learned from Sol. We've worked together on 4 or 5 projects now, and Sol always takes time to point out how proud she is of a different moment of the work we are together. And at first I thought, oh, that's like a little strange. Like we didn't finish the project yet, or it wasn't that big of a deal. It was just a small presentation, but I really grew over time to see how important it was. So I'm going to start off by showing a few examples, and then I'll share a few comments or thoughts on that. In this first example, we're just talking about listening through the music that we had recorded for the first time and just saying how glad we are that we could work together. And Sol here is commenting back just how happy and proud she is. This next example, we're just talking now about the next step, kind of the album being ordered. And you can see us, well, celebrating with all these emojis here. And one last example here, I'll just read the first section from Augustine. Beyond grateful for all the experiences we have shared together, guys. I feel lucky and continuously inspired by this great team and your individual abilities, characteristics, and perceptions through this. So, well, now I want to share just a few thoughts on why it's important to take time to feel proud in your work. The first thing I think it's important to recognize is that we live under capitalism. And what that means is we're often made to feel like we're not working enough, like we're not producing enough, like we're not getting enough done. And I think this is especially prevalent in the field of music and the performing arts, because we're always going after perfection, because we have such a high level of detail and quality that we're looking for. But what we can do to combat this feeling of feeling like we're not producing enough, or not getting enough done, is taking time to celebrate our accomplishments. It's really important to recognize each other's work. This keeps us from feeling unappreciated, from feeling like people don't notice the work that we do. And it can also keep us from burning out or getting too tired, too uninspired, too worn out to continue doing the work that we love. One thing that's important to note is we can recognize all the steps in the process instead of just focusing on an end goal. So like you saw in the examples, we're celebrating finishing the recording and then ordering the recording. We don't have to wait until we've sold 1,000 albums to celebrate. We can do that step by step. And that can help regenerate us to keep going in the process. And then the last thing I'd like to mention is that beyond just being proud of achievements or productions, we can also celebrate who we are together as a collective or as a commons, and our care and emotions towards one another and our relationships together. So that's a little bit of what we saw in Augustine's last message, just saying how happy he was to be able to work with us together, and not even celebrating some accomplishment, but just who we are together and what we have as a collective or as a commons. So next, I'm going to pass this off to Augustine for him to answer this question: how do we collectively care for our work?
Thank you so much, Gordon. Yeah, as we continue this conversation of how we collectively care for our work in Fire is Scary, we make it really a point to have kind of this rotative exercise of reminders and pushing of certain aspects of how we keep going in everything that we're doing in Fire is Scary. As Gordon established, so far the project has lived as a musical piece, but it also lives as an exhibition, and hopefully in the future lives as a performance that may take more of a theatrical medium. And so in all of this, to keep it going, we need this constant flow of changes, of identities, or of roles that we play in the ensemble. And that includes this role of the person that has the energy to push. So this energy is constantly traded and handed off to the next person, sometimes explicitly and sometimes more implicitly by the way that the collective is working. So in this case, we have the reminders, which are: how do we meet? When do we make a plan? What time is the meeting? Who has the link, etc., etc. So these are very small things, but they're so important, especially as the collective is currently working from a place of different parts of the world. So we really need these habits of communication, of the reminders, to make it function. We understand that energy depletes and that one person can't always be the pusher, that we need different people to push at different times, because we have different energy cycles of, okay, who's feeling really inspired now to do the recording. So it always trades off in this way, and we kind of began to understand this rotation of roles and energy that are required to make the different experiences of Fire is Scary. And the last one is the language that we used in communicating, which is a lot of language of trust. And as we go through examples here, I'll be very clear about that. Yeah, so to begin with this idea of reminders and pushes, of course, we use WhatsApp. It could be obviously any other means of communication, but WhatsApp has been really important in our interdisciplinary work, and also in the fact that we're based in different parts of the world. So we need these daily communications, either through voice messages or usually texting. So here we can see examples of when the reminders and pushing habits are happening. So starting from the left with Gordon asking, we need to kind of make a decision about this thing today. So he's already showing, one, we need to make a decision, and two, it's important because I have other things going on in my life. And so all of us need to also be aware that as a collective, we have to collectively care for everyone else's life and things that we have going on in life, be it personal stuff or be it other work experiences that they may have going on. On the second text, Sol mentioning, yeah, I think we need a meeting for planning since it's a longer time and it has complex situations. So kind of this requesting of, okay, we need to make this happen and we need this meeting. Or on the last text, kind of what I mentioned here, I hope we're all feeling good. So again, it's kind of like this point of like, I hope we're doing good. Like, let's keep up the energy. But we need to do this, right? And we always intercede with that. But we need to get this going. How about we make this happen? So it's always good to do the reminders of, hey, we're doing really good, but let's keep this energy going. And so it was my turn in that case to provide that energy. Yeah, pushes and reminders of finding funding. This has been a big thing to make the work happen, and it can't all fall into one person. While I can say that Gordon and Sol have been really key in this, I think it's important that we kind of continue a pattern of sharing of these roles, because we can't just seclude someone into an identity or a role in the collective. Okay, you're good at finances, you just do the finances. I think it needs to be this collective effort to also want to learn how to do that stuff. And so it's really important to communicate these things and to continually provide links of, okay, here's the funding, or here's a possibility for a workshop, or where we can present our piece. And yeah, and we can move on to language of trust, which is visibly using the word trust in a collective in a collective of interdisciplinary work. we each have our main thing, our specialty, our thing that we really kind of hone. And in honing that, there needs to be a lot of trust. I trust that the piece that was written from Gordon's, Western notation was written in a certain way that I can interpret it, and he trusts me to interpret it in a certain way, and we have to trust the perspectives that Soul is putting in the original writing of the piece, and so on and so forth, and Ariel to trust me that what I have laid down as far as the musical piece is usable material for her to sing upon. So all of these moments of trust that are happening are obviously implicit in the collective, but again, it comes down to this habit of communication and really being forthcoming about saying, I trust your decision, I trust your ability, I trust your characteristics, I trust who you are as an artist, etc. Yeah, and these are visible examples of that. Yeah. And I'll pass it on now to Ariel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Augustine. I'm Ariel, and I'm gonna talk about the roles we share in this project. So we try to make our roles as flexible, differentiated, and multiple as possible in order for the project to exist in different branches. So we first have some brief ideas of the end product, so directions, the possibilities of our project. As you already heard from Gordon and Augustine, that we have made an exhibition, we have made recordings, and we also give workshops, etc., etc. And then I think our project is still developing. So, and with time, we have more new ideas or new developments, and so there are also more different roles arise with time. And I think it's very important that the roles don't remain forever or don't stay rigid. And yeah, and we can go to the next slide. Yes, thank you. And these are the branches or forms of the project that exist in at the moment. So first of all, we have a art exhibition. So we made an exhibition in December in Amsterdam. That's our first official art exhibition with installation artwork made by Soul. And also we give live and online workshops, and we also have made a live performance, which will have a short version that was embedded in the exhibition we made in December in Amsterdam. It's around 20 minutes. And we have a vision to produce, to make it into a longer version that is like a proper theater piece, and to perform it in different places. And also, we have this project exists in the form of music recording. For now, we have a digital recording. We made a studio recording in November. Yes, finished in November. And our future plan is to produce an LP album, which would be combined with another composition of Gordon, and that's still something in our vision. Yeah. And this project also exists in the form of printed visual art materials, which you would see some pictures in the later slides. And also it exists in the form in the artistic research. And there's also maybe possible for us to join some artists in residence projects. We don't know yet. And then we can go to the next slide. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so these are some pictures to show these different branches that we have for now. So you see 2 pictures of us in our costume from the exhibition and performance we did in December in Amsterdam. And yeah, and so we also, you can see a picture of a workshop, of a post of a workshop that we gave in November in Rotterdam. And at the bottom, the two photos are another very small exhibition we gave last year, some months ago. It's not a very official exhibition. It's more like we did it when the project was still more or less at the more beginning stage, but it was also a nice tryout. And then you see also a picture of some visual art materials made that we collaborated with a designer. And these posters, each of the poster represents each movement of our piece. And later on, you will also see a bit more of these posters. And we can go to the next slide. And so these are some of the roles we share in our project. So there are roles that are more artistic and roles that are not very artistic. And it's not very fixed who is doing what, but I think very obviously Sol is the visual artist of our project, and Gordon is the composer and arranger, and all of us are performers, and also in a way all of us are the theater makers. And there are also other work that we share or we ask for collaborations. For example, doing some sound engineering work and facilitating workshops, etc. And we also share non-artistic roles, like the marketing, like a manager to manage the social media accounts, sending emails, and to as an educator in terms of giving workshops and this kind of things, and to manage our finance and to produce our show, etc., etc. So, and then we can go to the next slide, and here are some pictures of us carrying out these roles. So you can see a picture of us rehearsing in the exhibition space in December. And you can, so in this case, we are the performers, and you can see a picture of Sol talking to the audience after the show about our project, and also to, in a way, to promote our project. And in this case, we are the performer. We are also sort of doing some promotional work. We are also sort of an educator in this case. And you see a picture of me in the studio recording, making the recording. So in this case, I'm the performer, and you can see also a picture of Augustine making recording with his for his percussion tracks, also as a performer. And you can see a picture of Gordon with the sound engineer in the studio. And then you can see also a picture of me holding one of the posters of our album, of our work in the workshop. And then you can also see a very small picture of Sol making installation objects in the art space. And then the next slide. Yeah. And besides that, I think it's also important to use and to share our personal contacts, because we are 4 people, but it's already good because we can already share roles, but still we're only 4 people. So it's good if you can use some help. For example, we have some professors from our studies as coaches and mentors to guide us in our project. In terms of giving us workshop or giving us a coaching session online, and to help us on the sound engineering. And we also have friends and colleagues coming to help us in our exhibition, and to share our projects within their circles. Yeah. And then I pass it on to Sol, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you, Ariel. Yeah. So here is another aspect of how we collectively care for our work. As project goes, there are tasks we have to manage on times. For example, presentations, workshops, or writings for different occasions. As we mentioned, because of we are four and have different rhythms of working and schedules. And also, more importantly, we work from different time zones, sometimes spread in 4 continents even. We need to approach the task a bit more practically. So we divide the task. Yeah. This the screenshots of our group chat, so you can see the process of we making this presentation we are sharing now with you. First, we talk, share the ideas, and then based on that, we each one takes one part. So you can read, yeah, the. We had a meeting about this presentations, and then yes, yeah, I'll talk about a bit of more about the remarks that how it helps us. So this way helps us to manage different tasks by deadlines, and also in this way make us feel the tasks is less burden, not very big, but manageable. Also, this equal sharing the works prevent overworked the specific member. Of course, I feel very lucky because it can't be possible without trusting each other. And then we make each member space to put their own thoughts, ideas, opinions, details, and we respect what each members put it in. So it is practically good in terms of saving a lot of time from trying to blending all different thoughts together. But I think it is also very nice ways of make each members feel ownership about the project. Yes, and then we can celebrate together without no one feels left over when every steps of our project is managed. Yeah, one take time to feel proud, and pushes and reminders and different layers of our roles and divide and conquer was the for now our brainstorming result for sharing with you about the questions of how do we collectively care for our work. As Gordon before mentioned, these questions helped us a lot to elaborate about how we care our works, and then approach the differently about the work that doesn't go naturally. Work need to care. So I want to ask you about this question. How do you collectively care for your work? Yeah, I'll share with you a few photos from last exhibition. So we had an opportunity to have an exhibition, but because of our project is more based on text or music, so it was a great opportunity to us to make this project bit of different forms. So you are seeing our costume, but at the same time, the installation, the t-shirts. Yeah, this is also the installation view. The music was composed by the 9 movement. So what I did is making 9 stations in the space, and also making some devices that visualize the sound. I used a laser light to catch some visually the vibrations of the sound. And yeah, here you can see drum set in the space, also the big pipe. Yeah, that big pipe is the kaleidoscope that Ariel's ideas for the lightning, for the performance, and I make this as installations, so it became a multifunctional, so audience can see through the mirrors and read some the text. Yeah, this is also another installation view, and I made twin keyboard. One is of course, it's a real keyboard, and then the other is the mimicking the keyboard using one of the drawings that comes from research of how people trying to document the sound in the very early age. Yeah, and I'll share two clips from our performance. So we did a performance while the exhibition, and then you can see, yeah, movement one. You click. Thank you, Gordon.
The friend did not welcome me.
I thought so.
The friend was busy.
Of course.
People who are not welcoming
people
are busy. People who are not welcoming people are busy.
People
Who are not welcoming people are busy. People
어느 가게에 도착했다. 나는 보아서는 안 되는 손님에게 공개가 된 것은 아닌 것들을 보았다. 주인은 사실을 알고는 진실을 툭 터놓고 이야기해 주었다. 믿을 수는 없다. 주인은 보이지만 연인이 아닌 이인 것 같다.
Now, Ariel, introduce you some music piece.
Yeah. So we made a studio recording of our song Cycle Fire is Scary for voice and percussion. And we'd like to play the recording of this movement named Lover, but not Lover for you.
Named a lover, but not a lover. Made a fire to heat the fire. Is the dance of fire, solo or group? Named a lover, but not a lover. Is scary. Named a lover, but not a lover. Is scary. Named a lover, but not a lover. Is scary.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the end of presentation today. Thank you very much for your attention. If you would like to share the project or hear more of the music, be in touch with us. You're very welcome to contact us via email, Facebook, or Instagram. And here are the details of our contacts. And besides this, since there hasn't been a live performance of the cycle as written yet, because it's for voice and 5 percussion instruments, and we would really love to connect with a group to do that. So if you're interested to perform this song cycle live in the campus or in other venues, please feel free to contact us for the scores and more information. And thank you all very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions, this is a great time to do that.